Well, hello, I'm Paige Wilson, certified Optavia health coach, and I have been coaching for about 6.5 years. And I am taking you through the elements of Dr. A's Lifebook. Now, if you don't have this book, you should definitely get it. It is pure gold. This is a companion book to his Habits of Health book, and it's how we work on our mindset and our habits so that we can make changes for the long haul. And create a healthy lifestyle for ourselves so that we create sustainable results and live the best life that we possibly can. That's what this program is all about. Okay. So tonight we are going to talk about element 6, which is your path to a healthy weight. Okay. So how do you make this path to a healthy weight? Well, it's going to happen through making small steps and small changes and repeating them over and over and over again until they become habits. Okay. So small steps over and over and over again. It's all about the small steps and repetition. But let's dive in and take a closer look. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, let's see here. There we go. All right. So what we're going to talk about, mindset. This is huge. Understanding the difference between dieting versus creating a healthy weight. Okay, that is huge. And we will take a very close look at that because that is crucial. Okay. Number 2, skill set. We're going to work on utilizing a couple different forms of measurement, the body mass index and waist circumference, to assess where we are in our current weight management phase. Okay, we'll take a closer look at that because you really got to know where you are and then where you want to go. Okay, but you got to be honest about where you are. Okay. And then third, our action item will be identifying our current reality and then structuring a path to a healthy weight. Okay, so sounds good. This is such great stuff. Okay, so mindset. Here we go. Don't go on a diet. Let's just get this clear right now. We've said this before. This is not a diet. It is not a diet. At the writing of this book, 45 million Americans went on a diet, go on a diet every single year. And I guarantee you, because that was 2019, I guarantee you the number is much larger now. Okay, 45 million people go on a diet to lose weight every single year, probably higher now. Well, the sad thing is, and this may come as no surprise, 85% of those people gain all their weight back. Yep, some of them within 2 years. Okay, why? Because they went on a diet, and diets don't work. This is a lifestyle change. We are changing our habits to create a healthy lifestyle. If you don't change your habits, you're just going to go back to your old ways. The minute you stop any kind of program and you go back to your old ways, guess what's going to happen? Your body is going to think, oh, I got to go back to the way that I was. And it's all going to come back. Okay. In this process, all right, this is about creating a healthy lifestyle. And we never really arrive. Okay. We're always going to be working on our health. And the key is that we need to really work on identifying as a healthy person, identifying as a person who lives a healthy lifestyle. There's a big difference between I'm trying to be healthy and I am a healthy person. I live a healthy lifestyle. Big difference between those two. Okay. So that's very, very important to get that mindset straight. And that takes work too. You know, you have to really be conscious of where your thinking is. Okay. So we have 2 measurements that we use to help us know where we are. And the first one is body mass index. Okay. And I know a lot of you have probably seen body mass index charts. There is one in the book. And it is on page 155. Again, another reason to get the book. Okay. So where do you want your BMI to be? You want it to be 25 or under. Okay. You want it to be 25 or under. Okay. Actually, less than 25 is really where you want to be. Okay. To be considered at a healthy weight. All right. So take a look at that chart and see where you are. And if you don't have the book, I'm sure you can Google a BMI chart. All right, take a look at where you are so you have an idea of where you are and then where you need to be, knowing that under 25 is really where you want to be. Okay. The next measurement, this is a really important one, is waist circumference. Okay. Why is this important? Because visceral fat, that very dangerous fat, lives in your abdomen. Okay. It's around your organs. So knowing your waist circumference is very, very important because that's an indicator as to how much visceral fat you have. And we need to get rid of that visceral fat because that's what really leads to disease. Okay. So the numbers that we're looking for, men, we want you under 37 and women under 31.5. This is for waist circumference, okay? And you're going to take it kind of around the belly button. It shows you in that picture. And again, in the book, it shows this picture and it also gives you a description of where you really need to take that measurement. So if you don't have a tape measure, get a tape measure and make sure that you are measuring your waist on a continual, on a regular basis as you're going through this process. And that's the other one that you got to look at, and that will give you an idea of where you are and where you need to be. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this continuum that we're talking about. Okay. The weight loss management phase. All right. So we started overweight or obese. That's usually where most of us coming into this program start, and then we're going to go into the weight loss phase. Okay. And if our numbers are over 25 BMI, okay, or if and he's got body fat percentage on here as well. Body fat percentage is a great thing to look at, but typically you're going to look at body fat percentage once you get to your healthy weight, or as you're nearing your healthy weight, because you want to make sure that you're losing fat and that you're near where you want to be, with the body fat. So you don't want to lose muscle. You want to make sure that you're losing fat. Very important. Use our aminos. Okay, that'll help you do that. So phase 2 is going to be your healthy weight. That's when you've got that BMI under 25. That's when you've got that waist circumference under 37 or 31.5. All right. And then after that is optimization. That's where we transition, and we'll go through that down the road. And we get into optimization, our word for what other people will call maintenance. Well, we don't believe in maintenance. We believe that we're always optimizing our health. And then phase 4 is longevity. And these are all things that we're going to talk about in more depth later on in this book. But that just gives you an idea so that you can identify where you are in this process and where you want to be. And then we will talk about how do we get. Okay, so here's your current reality. This is a chart also that is in the book. And you, again, no reason to get the book, right? So you want to determine what your current reality is, where you fall on that chart, so you know exactly what you're dealing with. It's very important to be real with where you are and then how that compares to where you want to go, which leads us actually to the next thing that we're going to do in this process, which is do a structural tension chart for yourself. And we first looked at structural tension back in element 3. We looked at it again in element 4. This is a very important thing to work on. And again, there are charts in the book, and you can find the chart on page 162 in the Lifebook. Start with your desired results. Where do you want to go? What does that look like? And this is very important. When do you want to get there? Give yourself a date. Then filling your current reality Okay, because we gotta be real with where we are. And then in the middle are how we're going to get there. What are our secondary choices? And his example is having breakfast every single day, having only low glycemic carbs. Basically, we're eating every 2 to 3 hours. We're drinking our water. All of the small steps that we take to get to our healthy weight. Okay, those are our secondary choices. Okay, so three key points in creating a healthy weight. Okay, and this is kind of more overall, but this is very important. This is really combining the mindset and then the skills. Um, it's so important to really keep the focus on building health versus just a number on the scale. And I know it's really hard to not focus on that scale. I know I've been through this process. Um, but it's so much better for us to look at the big picture because truly our goal is to be a healthy person, to live a healthy lifestyle. Okay. And that goes so far beyond the scale. Just like what you're going to get from this goes so far beyond the scale. Okay. So you always keep that in mind. You're going to always remind yourself of that. This is about building health. It's not just losing weight. Okay. Number two, use that structural tension chart to help yourself get to that healthy weight because it's amazing what happens in your brain when your brain sees that where you want to be is not where you are. And so there has to be some changes to get to where you want to be. So use that structural tension chart and it may change through your journey. It may change through the process as you move through this. Okay. And then third of all, remember that this is all about learning a new series of habits. Okay. Which are going to help us create behaviors. And the way that we learn those habits is through repetition, just like anything else, just like learning how to ride a bike, just like learning how to play a sport. It's all repetition over and over and over again. Eating every 2 to 3 hours. We do it day after day after day. Set alarms if we have to. Okay. Using those fuelings, reminding ourselves to have those fuelings day after day after day. Working on those lean and greens, weighing and measuring those lean and greens day after day. Drinking that water, having water every time you eat, day after day after day. Habits. This is how we form our habits. Okay. And it's by changing our habits that we're going to get our lasting change. And we're really going to change our lives. Okay. So this is such great stuff. And I just want to encourage you to stay in this life book, to keep working on the mindset work, to always remember that this is not a diet. This is the furthest thing from a diet. This is a true lifestyle program. And if you treat it that way, then you will change your life. All right. That's all I got. We'll see you next time for Element 7.